Welcome along, everybody, to this month's Koha webinar. The focus of the next 20 minutes or so is just about what to expect when implementing Koha library management system in your library. It's slide-based this time, so it's just a series of slides I'll take you through, which outlines the implementation process, what to expect at which stages throughout a project. And yeah, if you've got any questions at the end, happy to pick them up too. So first of all, a little bit of background about working with PTFS Europe. We have been in existence since 2007, so we're a privately owned UK-based company. That means that we do have local support and development staff working across the UK. Since we were launched, we've been a virtual company. So all of us are in various pockets throughout the UK primarily. We do have some staff working outside the UK, but most of us are UK-based, offering that local support. Because we work with open source solutions, we have a very fast development pace. We've got a team of software engineers working with PTFS Europe, and they also work as part of the support team, so address bugs and add new features on a quick dynamic basis. And therefore, our solutions, in particular Koha that we're talking about today, are constantly enhancing and constantly being developed, which means that every time you upgrade to the latest version, you get any new developments that's been added in automatically. There's no additional cost for that. Everybody gets any development that's carried out throughout the world. We do host all of your servers in the UK. We use hosting providers, Amazon Web Services, DigitalOcean and Mythic Beasts. And all our hosting providers, as well as us at PTFS Europe, hold international accreditation. So we offer secure, resilient and high-performing infrastructure. Once you've gone live with Koha, you are moved across onto our help desk system. So our support staff look after you going forward. So you can log help desk tickets and they will respond in that ticket and also help you to build reports, address configuration changes, just help you with any questions that you have. And of course, your servers are constantly monitored as well, and any problems identified with the servers would be addressed immediately or via a ticket. Now, it is fair to say as well that another benefit of working with us at PTFS Europe is that we do have a huge amount of library experience within the team. Myself personally, I'm a chartered librarian with CILIP. We do have a number of qualified librarians working within the staff, and we also have people that have worked within the library sector over many years as well. So we've got a team with lots and lots of library experience. So in terms of Koha itself, I mentioned it's an open source solution. I also mentioned that you do get everything with it. So you do get any new developments that are carried out and implemented onto the system. So it's up to you within the library, as part of your implementation, and also going forward once you're live with the system, to establish which elements of the system you want to use. So for example, if you never think you'll use the electronic resource management module, you just switch that off in the background and you don't grant permissions to staff. You can obviously give people access into full areas. So in this case, for example, acquisitions, but you might want to restrict access to things like budget control to more senior level staff. So although you get everything bundled in with the library management system, it is then up to you to decide which elements you want to use. So that does make Koha a really great value product, gives you a good return on your investment, and you do have that global customer group in the community supporting it and continually developing it as well. It does also allow for very easy integration with third-party systems within your organisation due to the openness of the APIs. So, for example, we can integrate with online payment systems, with financial systems, with third-party software like self-issue kiosks and lap safe lockers, that kind of thing as well. So what actually happens as part of an implementation? So when you come across to us as a customer, every new organisation gets assigned an implementation team, and a fully formed project is developed, which is unique to your organisation and the basis of the webinar today. So your implementation team consists of your account manager, and that person has overall responsibility for the account in general, deals with all the commercial sides of the organisation, and has regular account management meetings with you as a customer at the start of the project and throughout the lifetime as a customer as well. In terms of the actual project team, you get given named individuals, so you get given a project manager who has overall responsibility for the delivery of the project and will ensure that they work closely with you to establish all the activities and milestones and that are needed for the implementation, and also ensures that all those targets are met in a timely fashion. They also liaise with the other members of the PTFS Europe project team, which consists of a technical lead, and that person is responsible for the infrastructure, setting up everything technical. There's a data migration specialist who is responsible for migrating the data from your legacy system and putting it over into Koha, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. And obviously there are a range of backup staff as well. So as I mentioned, we've got a lot of in-house experience, and therefore there's quite often other members of staff drawn in for particular elements. So for example, we would bring developers in as necessary for some integration projects and so on. And obviously at your end, you identify the key members of staff required for your own project. So this is a diagram which illustrates the main areas within an implementation cycle. So once the contract has been signed, the first stage is to arrange a project kickoff meeting. And this allows you to work through your project plan, identify the key responsibilities for PTFS Europe and for your organisation, and also establish the scope of the project, what's required in terms of integrations and what to have when, and also to sort of set your dates as well and agree on those milestones. Following that, the data is extracted from your system, and we have a workshop which takes you through the data mapping requirements and configuration options needed. You then are asked to fill in a spreadsheet which gives you your mapping requirements. You're left with that for a little bit of time just on the back of the workshop to make those final decisions. And then the system is created for you, the software is installed, and all your configuration is put in place, and then your data is installed and loaded. Then there's a training, we deliver the core training. There's a period of testing, and we at the same time we're working on all your integrations and your connections. And following an initial testing period, we address any feedback that you have, and we conduct an interim load. And then the final data is extracted and reloaded, and then you're ready to go live. So in a nutshell, that is your implementation. But it's scoped out a lot more fully than that. So to begin with, we have a project kickoff meeting. So this is the first meeting after the contract's awarded, and this is where the members of the project team from PTFS Europe and from the library meet for the first time, and we agree everybody's responsibilities and the tasks and the milestones, and we agree on realistic target dates. And we use project management software called Asana to track projects and the tasks. And this also allows us to see what activities block others. And you can safely define the people responsible for each of the tasks and provide a due date in here as well. This is shared with you in the library. You do get to see a visual timeline, so like sort of Gantt chart view of it, and it's edited in real time as well, based on sort of discussions that we have with you and follow-up feedback meetings and so on. Your data migration is an absolutely vital and key part of your project. Uh, we have to ensure data integrity, and we have a wealth of experience within the data migration team. We've converted data from most library management systems, so our team will help you extract the data from your current system, and we set up space on an in-house Nextcloud system so that you can transfer the data safely across to us for analysis. So once we're in possession of your data, our specialists analyze it and they put together some counts of your data and some potential mappings into a spreadsheet, which forms the basis for the implementation workshop that happens quite early on within an implementation. At that workshop, we discuss how you want your data to be mapped across into Koha, and this gives you the opportunity as well to make some changes to your data, to do some data cleansing. So if you say, for example, that you don't want to take data across that you've had on your system for years, and it's maybe like, I don't know, catalogue data, and your items haven't gone on loan for several years, you might just decide to delete them as part of the process. You might use the opportunity to streamline some of your policies. So perhaps you've got multiple variations of an item type of book and you want to just sort of condense them. And we can do all of that as part of the data migration. After you've had the workshop, our data migration specialist puts together a set, he basically puts together a set of scripts to that look to your agreed specification. And then once the scripts have all been programmed, we can install the data, load the data onto that test environment, which then allows us to begin your testing and your training. So it's really important to be able to have the opportunity to test your data, make sure it's loaded correctly into Koha. And also we do that before we deliver your core training so that your library staff are being trained on a system that's familiar to them. They'll understand the data and also just have that environment where it's all configured according to the requirements as well. After the training and testing period is complete, we address any feedback that you have given us, and an agreed list of required changes is put together, and the data migration specialist then makes changes to the scripts and so on, so that we can then do an interim load and produce that second data load. That again, another testing period is set aside, and you then check the changes that you've asked for have been implemented, and you make sure that there's no new side effects and anything like that. You identify any final minor changes required, and we have a feedback meeting to go through that. Then we have the final data load once we've got your final data out your legacy system. So this is an absolutely vital element to an implementation process. It's far easier to make changes to the data before you go live than it is afterwards. So we cannot emphasize the need for the testing period here. So at the implementation workshop, you are given some data tables to complete. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, you do have the opportunity to do some data cleansing and to decide how you want your data to look into Koha and to make changes to configuration settings and so on. So you're given a set of documents which we go through during the implementation workshop. We leave them for you, leave them with you for a short period of time, and then that's what's used as a basis for your Koha configuration and for your data mapping. Okay. We can also do various things like we can correct punctuation as part of the data migration, we can merge categories, and we can delete records. So we always say to our new libraries, don't worry about clearing up your data. We can do that for you as part of the migration. So once the data has been loaded, we're then in a position to run your core training. We deliver your core training to you. And if you're a larger library with lots of staff, you can then use our resources to cascade your training to the relevant members of staff. And on screen here are just some of the key modules that we deliver training in. We can do quite general modular training, and we can also do very bespoke training packages for your needs as well. And this is all discussed with you as part of, well, actually as part of the pre-sales process, but also as part of the project planning. Now, just again, if I didn't say it clearly enough just a moment ago, we cannot emphasize the importance of the testing period. So we just say test, test, test. Get the right people on board in your library to do this testing stage. People that know how the data should look and are also adaptable to change as well. So utilise the testing period that's been assigned within the implementation to its fullest advantage. Now, I also mentioned at the start that Koha has an open API, and this allows us to integrate with third-party suppliers very easily. And on this slide are just a list of some of the most common integrations that we do when we're implementing a new system. So we can integrate with hardware, so things like your self-issue terminals, entry gates, PC booking systems, laptop blockers, all of that kind of thing. We can also integrate with other systems, so things like a student registry system in an academic institution. We can integrate with financial systems. We also have integrations with single sign-on for authentication. And we have plugins and scripts and stuff that we can also put on the system to ensure that full integration is met. I mentioned before that, you have that testing period and you report things back to us. So as part of the implementation project as well, a series of feedback meetings are set up just to ensure that PTFS Europe understand the feedback that you're providing and to ensure that we make the necessary changes for you. So before we make any final adjustments, we will speak to you in meetings just to refine and make sure that we're all understanding what's needed. That the same principle applies for the second phase of your testing. Again, we meet regularly with you just to go through all your feedback and to answer any questions that you do have before we will undertake that final data load. Once all of that's been done, you go live. So once the final data load has been entered into the system, essentially, you get the green light to go live and you have the fireworks and you have the celebrations within your library that you've successfully migrated onto your new system. But it doesn't stop there. You then are moved on to the post-implementation stage, and that's when you get put onto our support desk, so that you're able to use the help desk to log any queries that you have, any issues. You also have access to all our ongoing communications. We have a PTFS Europe YouTube channel, for example. We run webinars. We have customer discussion sessions set up. We've user group meetings, so on. You can become a part of that community too. We obviously work on developments with you, so any sort of enhancements that you would like to Koha, we can talk to you about, and we do regularly upgrade the Koha system as well. We recommend annual upgrades, and that's fully supported as part of your annual maintenance with us. So your actual implementation is just getting Koha up and running and live in your library. And the timescale of that really depends upon many factors. Things like how long you can allocate to the project based on the contract expiry of your legacy system, and things like how many library staff do you have, and all of that, which we talk in detail to you about. So some of our projects, some of our smaller libraries have small implementation times, whilst others have longer implementation times. So you have your project planning for the implementation, then you go live and you have the full support of the help desk and so on as well. And just in conclusion, If you're not that familiar with us as a company or as an open source solutions, then it's useful to know actually what sets us apart. So we are socially equitable, open source software, open source communities. So what library is about, sharing resources with each other, collaboration with others, with other organizations, with other libraries, with other support companies. Um, Economically responsible. So you can guide the fast pace of development really with this open source community. You don't have that heavy burden of investment because any developments, as I mentioned earlier on, are fed back into the product. So you're not having to continually pay for something that somebody else has already paid for. And if you do get upgrades as well as part of your package. So you do get those developing features automatically. And we are environmentally conscious as well. As a company, PTFS Europe were built from the ground up as a low carbon business with all staff working remotely. Open source software is a low carbon choice, and it's very, very hard for the system to become obsolete due to that big worldwide community behind it. So we have got, just to remind you, we do have an events page on our website. We are running monthly Koha webinars. We're running monthly Aspen webinars, and we're running sort of quarterly focus webinars as well. All details are on our website. Anybody that signs up will be sent recordings afterwards. And if you're interested in finding out a little bit more, you can contact us on this email address or phone number, and have a look at our YouTube channel for all our content. And thank you very much.